started as a lieutenant. And they're going to come on stage, so let's give them a huge round of applause, everybody. Gigi Edgley and David Franklin.
Ooh, how exciting. Just right. Hi, guys. Hi. Here we come. Brace yourselves. Coming to get you. Thanks for having us. Woo. Is this anybody's first convention?
Yeah.
David, we have some convention virgins in the house.
I love virgins.
Time to pop their cherry. The time has come. Says something really bad there, but I had to pull back.
Pull back, keep it nice, keep it nice.
Keep it nice, Gigi. Good luck.
Could we have the house lights up a little bit so we can see you? Hello. Oh, hey.
So how's Arizona been treating you two?
Oh, hello.
Hi, Jenny. Hi, Jenny from the block.
This is Jenny from the block.
That's probably not how the tune goes. No. No.
And it's really not worth signing anything that we've said so far. Rest your hands.
When did you get here?
Me?
Yeah.
I got here on Thursday.
Oh, are you feeling rested?
Yes, I am. I love this convention. This is my favouriteest convention. Favoritist. English is my second language.
So how long has it been since you two have seen each other?
Too long.
Actually, how long is it?
Just kidding, David.
I thought you might have matured as a person.
No. What? Me? Mature?
Anyway.
You and Jenny. Were DragonCon?
No.
Oh, that wasn't you?
That wasn't me.
Oh, dear. Where was it then? Before DragonCon? Really?
Yes.
You look amazing.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
Seriously, doesn't you look fantastic?
I got in, I haven't seen David for a couple of years, but I adore David. He took me under his beautiful wing when I moved to Los Angeles and helped me organise my green card and illegally smuggled me into the country, so I owe him my life. And my firstborn. I'll get onto that in a couple of years. But I only flew in, I got in midnight. Last night, and then all your lifts in the Hyatt were broken. So I'd flown in from Sydney to Honolulu, and I was thinking maybe I could possibly lose a bag accidentally in Honolulu. And then had a 4-hour stopover in Honolulu, and then came here and arrived to all these security and police, and I went, oh crap, they've already caught me, and I haven't even entered the building. And then it took about an hour to get upstairs, and then when I got upstairs, I was like, oh, I think I need a beverage. So then I headed down to the bar for a second, and then went back upstairs, and then I think I got to bed about 3:30 because of jet lag. And here we are, looking fresh as daisies.
I was asleep.
Oh, such a goody two-shoes.
I have a drinking problem.
Well, I'm sure there's some people here that want to ask you some questions about Farscape.
What?
So if you want to line up, we've got a microphone that's over here on the left side of the stage.
Wait, where? Oh, look.
And we have to make this talk really good because I just was informed that you guys are allowed to carry guns. All right, so no pressure, David. Dance.
So if you guys want to ask a question, if you guys want to ask a question for David or for Gigi, if you'll just step over to the microphone, we'll make a line. And before we start...
No questions, let's go, David.
No pressure. Before we start with guest questions, I had a couple questions for you guys.
Certainly.
That man's wearing funny shoes.
He's not wearing any underwear.
Oh. Good morning.
Good morning.
What are those
Your way of
shoes?
saying hello.
What?
Haven't you seen these before?
Honestly, don't your toes get all sweaty?
They would be less sweaty because
Obviously you don't have stinky
I
feet
guess
like
they don't have
me.
those in Australia?
Beg your pardon?
Sorry, Jenny.
Sorry, Jenny. Sorry. We're easily distracted.
Yes. They are funny looking though. What do you guys remember most about your roles in Farscape? As Braca and Chiana?
David?
I remember being zipped into my costume and being with double-sided tape. I remember that. Getting a free waxing each time I took it off. And I remember it not fitting when they did to Peacekeeper Wars. I was like putting on I couldn't get it done up, and then the belt wouldn't fit. Yeah, I got fat.
I just slipped straight into mine.
But what about the makeup? Didn't the makeup take quite a bit of
Well,
I complain about my makeup. You hear it,
No, but that's because you're beautiful and they didn't have to do anything to you.
10 solid minutes in the chair.
3.5 hours every day.
10 minutes, 3.5 hours. What does that tell you?
Ugly. Yeah, it was pretty intense. What do I remember about Chiana? Probably that she was the most courageous character I've ever played and a complete space trollop. Ben used to call her a space trollop with a good heart, so I like that end bit. But I adored her. Some of my favourite moments was flying and doing all the wire work and everything, because that's so cool. So cool. And I'd purposely muck up a take and go, oh, I think we better go again. Whee!
I love doing that.
That was really cool.
I remember thinking at the beginning that Braca was going to be vaporized at the end of each episode. Because I came in there, I replaced somebody because they didn't think their chemistry was right, and I was just going episode to episode at the beginning.
So was I.
And I had no idea what.
But it must have been because we're so amazing.
Yeah, I guess. I can't think of anything else. Gee. I'll do that. That's done, sure, I'll do that. No, yeah, so I honestly had no idea what was, and I got less than 24 hours notice about doing the show.
Before you...
It went on.
Oh.
I had no idea what your show was.
It was pretty full on, and we didn't have any idea of the fan following or anything. Ben said to me, on my second day on set, he's like, hey, if you want to check out the fans, log on to the site. And I'm like, what a wanker. What is he on about? And then I logged onto the site, I'm like, oh my goodness, because in Australia we don't really have it. Well, now it's growing, the sci-fi fanatics, but back then it was just, and also in Australia it's all about the tall poppy syndrome. So if anyone sort of made it, we're the first people to cut each other down kind of thing, which I think is why Australians have such a really strong work ethic. And when I logged onto the site, I was completely blown away. And then the very first sci-fi convention, and they pick us up in a limousine, and we got flown business class, and we got our makeup done. We stood out there, and the look on all our faces is like, we're more freaked out than you guys were, because we had no idea, none. So it's very special, and thank you guys for loving and adoring us and feeding us, and we really wouldn't be sitting here right now, obviously, if it wasn't for you guys. So,
it's
massive
your fault.
respect. Yeah, it's your fault.
You take the rap. I remember thank you. I remember the first time, I met a fan here, and she was a waitress. I was so much more excited than she was. And she said, I've got to get back to work now. I said, yeah, but she was so, I was so...
Do you want another autograph? I'll pay you. Oh, David,
Jim Henson's productions were pretty prevalent in the Farscape show. What was it like working with the puppetry?
Well, David can be a little wooden sometimes, so I wouldn't describe him as
thin ice.
Thin ice lady. Amazing. Full on, wasn't it? You walk onto that set and you completely 100%...
You end up relating
to
that froggy cane toady
maybe
thing.
even more than some of the actors. But yeah, Rige was phenomenal, pilots, and then it was really cool when you got guesties on.
Gigi, well, of course you know. Pilot's huge. Before I went onto the set, because I never had anything to do in that world, with that world, and I'd seen an episode or two, and I thought Pilot was like this big. And then I went on set and went, whoa, it took like 6 people to work him. It's amazing.
Yeah, and the best thing was that under Pilot, where the guy, there was one guy that stood in his body, and then there was about 3 or 4 puppeteers, I think, that worked his arms on either side. So down below the control panels, they have all these stickers and naughty things and stuff, because the puppeteers used to get kicked, sat on, run over, they always got completely trampled because, we're so involved acting with the animatronics that we're not thinking about the poor people that we're standing on top of underneath us. But I remember the first time I worked with Rigel, slap! The first time I worked with Rigel, his voice didn't actually come from Rigel, it came from a puppeteer who was on the side of set. And eventually they had a speaker in him so that the voice came from him, but also it's not the original voice of Rigel, it's just the puppeteers, and then Jonathan Hardy would come in and re-voice it afterwards. So it was the one where she goes, yes, shut up Toad, or whatever, in Dirk Returns, when I jump on top of him and put the pillow over his face. And he's making all these noises and stuff, and then the puppeteer talks, so halfway through I'm like, hey Toad, listen here, blah, 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 and then the guy reacts, and I'm like I said, listen here, and they're like, no, and you literally straddling 2 puppeteers at the same time. It's all very glamorous show business, isn't it? Yeah, but all in all, the creatures were just phenomenal, and when you saw them on the side of the set and they didn't have someone working them, it was quite heartbreaking, because you do create a really strong emotional bond with them, don't you? Yeah.
Well, Farscape was really known for their elaborate sets. Do you feel like you were blessed to be able to have some of the sets that you were working on season 2 and beyond?
What about season 1?
What's the question?
Yeah, what's the question?
I was just back in Australia there. Come again, Jenny?
About the sets? Sorry, Jenny, I can't even speak.
Well, I know that on the set of the show, you guys had a lot of props, and you had the puppetry, and you had a lot of just the special effects and the makeup and everything, and that was really not seen in a show like Farscape for a long time. So, how did you feel about being part of something like that?
All right. Amazing. And the best thing about it is that you get to play an alien in space, so you can interpret that
any way you want. And
quite clearly we did.
Okay, and whatever choice you make, it's like, this is the right choice.
Yeah, 100%. And literally you lived and worked on a spaceship, and you would rock up and you'd be working with these beautiful sets and these amazing animatronics. And Ginny and I think, went through several identity crises. We had some problems. Crises. Because we would see ourselves as aliens more than humans for 4 years. So you wake up in the morning and it's dark, it's 3:30 in the morning, you get picked up, you go to set, 3 hours later, you're not really staring at yourself in the mirror. 3 hours later you're an alien, and then, the days would range from 12 to 16-hour days, 5 days a week. So after 4 years of constantly looking at yourself in the mirror, and you're always this creature, it was quite bizarre to finally be unveiled as a human and have to work, the next role I did was a girl next door on an Australian television series. And now I look at some of the old scenes and stuff that I did, and I can definitely see Chiana pop out every now and then. Like a human doesn't move. No wonder.
Not if they're medicated correctly. I remember talking about the makeup and prosthetics. At the wrap party on season 1, I came in right at the end of season 1. I met this guy at the wrap party. I went, oh, hello, I'm David. And it was Wayne Pygram, who I worked with for 2 or 3 episodes. I had no idea it was him.
Same thing happened with Anne tonight.
Because he's made up Wayne was always made up and I would leave and he'd have to take his makeup off. I never saw him out of his makeup. So, and I didn't realise I knew him. Oops. Sorry, go on.
Oh, no, I was just going to say the same thing happened with Anne. He's like, hey! I'm like, who's this weird, tall guy with cross-eyed hair? So, yeah, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like,
isn't it weird?
Who are you?
That was like that with Rebecca, Commandant Grazer. And we had a really good rapport on the set, but she was always in the booby make, the
milky breast.
The Milky Ways. And it was weird getting used to Rebecca. And because she'd go, hey, like that. It was like, why are you being so come on and fresh with me,
I don't recognise you unless I see your tits.
Show me your tits. Okay, it's you, it's all right.
Okay, identification complete.
Scanning breast.
Anyway.
We should start taking questions from the audience. If you want to step up to the microphone and ask Gigi and David a question.
Is it about breasts? There are a lot of breasts in that show.
There are. I just wanted to say, Gigi, I love the physicality that you brought to Chiana, like her posture, because she's so alien, but you can still relate to her and sympathize with her, even though she doesn't act or look human at all. And I just love that about you and about sci-fi. And my question was that Farscape is such a strange kind of dreamlike show a lot of the time. I was wondering if you ever had, both of you ever had like a Farscape related dream, because it was so weird, and if it ever embedded itself into your psyche and became a dream.
I think once you start working on a show, because you live and breathe it so intensely that I've had lots of dreams, and I don't think any of them are appropriate to say at this juncture. David?
Oh, Dargo.
Dargo. It's not safe. Take it away from me.
I can't remember any dreams. That's a good question, though. Okay, no, I can't. Unlike, what's her face?
You're amazing.
Good answer, David.
Should I make something up? Should I lie? Should I lie to my people?
You can make up a dream.
I'm sorry.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I suppose you can thank me for nothing. Thanks for nothing, Dave. Welcome.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
This is for Gigi. I missed you last year. I wanted you to be here last year so bad, so we did miss you.
What about me?
You weren't planning to be here.
All right.
But I have the box set and I watched the commentary and Ben talks about his nickname Pip for you. And it's actually what I call my son from another mother. And how do you feel about that nickname and what does it mean to you?
That's really random because actually when I was little, my nickname was Pip. And then he said he'd call me that on set one day and I thought, how on earth did he figure that out? But I think it has something to do with great expectations.
I wondered about the relationship, kind of brother, sister,
and then a little incestuous. I'll tell you something that was quite bizarre, is that, because he's such a handsome man, I still get quite nervous doing all the kissy, lovey-dovey, weird stuff that you have to do as an actress. And the first time we had a little moment and I had to kiss Crichton, I kissed him and he goes, you just put your tongue in my mouth. And I went, it says Chiana kisses Crichton. And he goes, yeah, but you like licked my lip. And I went, oh, how do you kiss? I didn't know, because I'm very method. I don't know how to kiss, but so it was kind of bizarre. What was the question? I don't know. So he was amazing. Been in one of the auditions, I think I was like 3 or 4 auditions in because it was pretty intense, the audition process. And the same kind of thing happened with me. Literally I didn't know, they sort of said, oh, you ready for tomorrow? And I went, what's that, another makeup test? And they went, no, we'll pick you up at 4 in the morning and you're good to shoot. I'm like, shoot what? They went with Farscape. And so that's kind of how I found out, which is the same with my character being extended as well. She was only meant to be there for one episode, and then they kept her on, and it was literally, I wouldn't know until I opened up, like a new script would be given to me. I went, why? And then I flicked through it, and I'm like, oh, there she is. She's made it. I've snuck into another script. So, but my relationship with good old Crichton was fantastic, because he, in one of the final auditions, he said, look, just go with me here. And I was like, what does that mean? And then the director walks in and whatever. And so instead of doing the scene, like halfway through the scene, he just starts improvising. And I was like, what the frau? To put it politely. And he just worked me, and he knew how to push my buttons, and it kind of was a good relationship. And I think because I was a fair bit younger too, he knew how to ground me, and I knew how to just screw with him. You know, I thought, oh, this guy, you know, this American guy, yeah, leader of the show, all right, buddy, let's do it. And but he always used to try and hold me down in scenes. I don't know if you've noticed it, but that scene where in Deborah Returns, and he picks me up by the crutch and throws me over his head and lands on me, that wasn't in there. He goes, I need to pin you down, because what's all this crap? You know, look me in the bloody eye and give me the answer that I need from this scene. So that's when he was sitting on top of me. I'm like, oh, it's going to be like this, is it, buddy? So we had a good working relationship. And one of the most interesting things about Ben too is that John Quixote was so trippy that episode. I always thought he was really straighty 180, and then he brings out this bizarre trippy taka script, and I was like, oh man, you were completely screwed in the head. I love you. You're one of our kind.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having us. Oh, and I also just want to say quickly, thanks, sorry for not being here last year. I got an Australian, shut up, David. I got an Australian show called Tricky Business, which was really amazing, and it's just hard being an actor because you never know when you're working, if you're working, when that's going to be. Is it going to be a night shoot? Is it going to be a day shoot? They can call you up at any time, so I apologise immensely for not being here, but I promise to make it up to you now.
Yay!
Now I'm more blushing.
And you will make it up. Yes. Please ask.
I was wondering, being Chiana, you had to dress up in all that makeup and really actually take on the character and look like her. But what was it like working in the makeup and the costume? Like, how is it different from just acting without all of that?
Oh, amazing, because you know you get so much attention. Like all day, people just play with you. You know, they fix your lips, they fix your hair, they come and check your eyes, they check your back. So then the show after that, where I had to be a human, they do your makeup half an hour in the morning and they don't touch you all day. And I'd be walking up to makeup artists going, touch me. So it's very cool. I love it, and it makes you feel brave, because you know what it's like when you guys dress up. You're a different character, and you're, as soon as I had the Chiana on, you know, a whole different side would just completely...
She was such a slut.
She was. To put it politely. Really though. How did you feel in all your makeup?
You know, my 10-minute makeup.
Or were you just you?
No, I just put on my suit.
Zipped yourself up.
But when I first went to work, it must have been like having kids. You know, the first kid gets really mollycoddled, and then you read all the books, and by the time I came into the show, I was like, I got interviewed the day before and then thrown on set the next day. It was like, yeah, you'll do.
It's probably because you're so bloody good. You're like, he's amazing. You're hired.
And I had like a sci-fi show, right? So you think, let's be like amazing outfit. I had rubber galoshes and like Fletcher Jones black pants. It was like very un-sci-fi. But then we got Terry Ryan going into it and made an excellent costume, which looks stupid. No, it was really, it really did inform, not the first costume, but it did inform the character, because I couldn't move. It was so tight, and these stupid epaulette things. So it looked like I had a pole up I would walk like I had a pole up my behind. So that informed it actually did inform the character. So yeah, it's interesting how that, and that carried on as I got promoted. That's still the same attitude, yeah. And that came from the costume.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I know that you've done that show for a long time. So after doing that show, did you ever feel like in public, you just mess up and say something from that show? Has that ever happened to you?
It's good being able to swear in a foreign Farscape language. That's very handy. See, you know, because you can get it out without offending too many people. I always manage to offend someone. Don't worry.
Yeah, but I don't count. So.
Jeez, what about you?
I don't think I've ever said like a Frel or Dran accidentally. Every now and then though, I think the only time when I've ever go into character and stuff is apparently around, like, after a few beverages, which you may witness later on. Be afraid. Is that I go into a very clear English accent. So it's not really even a character that I've ever played before. And someone goes, "Are you English?" I'm like, "No." I just do it so I don't spit on people's faces when I'm speaking loudly in a pub. I don't know where that came from, and then my husband's Minnesotan, so every now and then, like random words, I sound a bit American, but that's not really a character. I think it's just picked up from my lifestyle because our dog's called MacGyver. But if we go, MacGyver, the dog won't come. You've got to go, MacGyver! And my sister and brother walk in and they're like, "Why doesn't the bloody dog come?" I'm like, "Because you're going to go, MacGyver!" And he's like,
Thank you.
Given the imbalance thus far, I was trying to think about David Franklin's central question, and I couldn't say.
It just choked, that's all. I've got to be honest.
As a casual fan, I haven't watched the commentaries and all that, so I fear I must apologize to the true fans.
"Back of the line!"
For asking something Get out! That perhaps has been answered before, but as has been alluded to, Chiana, as you played her, was a very physical character. There was a lot of alien body language and movement, and a very otherworldly sort of inflection, cadence, and so forth. And in sci-fi, alien characters often rely on their makeup and prosthetics to do the heavy lifting for them to convey that sort of alienness. And I was wondering, when it came to the Chiana character, how much of that performance was generated by you, Ms. Edgley?
Where are you from? You've got a very
Well,
nice
right.
accent. Where is this from? Are you just from Phoenix? Not just from. That was wrong. I'm outnumbered. Are you from Phoenix?
I am from Minnesota.
Oh, that's why I've got a bit of a crush.
I guess it's a crowd.
Yeah, oh, don't you know?
Minnesota.
Betcha.
Minnesota.
I don't want to rub anybody the wrong way, so I'm not going to say anything.
That's fine. You rubbing. What? Sorry, the question. Gigi. The movements. Well, that's what happens when you have vodka shots for breakfast. No. Originally in the very first few auditions, they never really mentioned that she was going to be covered in all this makeup, and then they did the makeup test, and this creature started appearing, and I just thought, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And I've grown up watching The Labyrinth and Dark Crystal, and I just adore that characters, and they're also kind of, they're completely out of this world, and I thought, it's not every day you get invited to play an alien, so why not just completely, find something bizarre and creepy and crazy about her? And I just thought, because she's always on the run and she's always looking for the quick escape, and she should be ready to run at any time. So that's kind of where she came from. And then the contact lenses, as a lot of you guys know, were tunnel vision, so I kind of had to move a little bit like that as well, so it all kind of made sense. And because she was a bit of a sexy mama, I just thought, what if you just keep her very slow and kind of breathe people in, and then that's kind of interesting too, because you kind of want to go in that direction then when you see someone like being very sort of still and watching, and there's kind of something about you that is intrigued by that. But I think the one thing that really helped with those eyes, they were just so beautiful. They were just big black pools of who knows what. So yeah, I just kind of found her through the makeup and through the whole entire look of Chi, and I'm a big fan of the Hensons, so I'm just like, let's let it rip.
I should add, as just a slight aside to Mr. Franklin, that I was always rooting for more screen time for you. You were always better than any of the main villains.
Don't you love that short, sweet, and punchy? Thank you very much.
Thank you both for being here.
Thank you, Minnesota.
Thank you. He can stay.
Stay. You're in. All right, you're in.
David, I have a question for my husband.
Where's your husband? What can he ask?
He's home.
He's dead wood. don't worry about him.
No, after 53 years, he's single. He would like to know,
Yes.
did Braca ever get it on with Peacekeeper Barbie?
Peacekeeper Barbie.
Do you remember Peacekeeper Barbie?
Which was Peacekeeper Barbie?
When Frank was being tortured, people go into his eye and she's there when the dials.
The one with the
The blue hair?
Imaging that didn't last. The girl that was on for like 1 ep or 2 ep. I think she was meant to be like Scorpius, and then Scorpius came in after that, didn't she?
Did she have blue?
Did she come in like a smidgen before Scorpius, and then she came in a little bit more? I think that's what happened there.
Oh, there was a lot. No. And that was a threat to Scorpius, you see.
Or Peacekeeper Barbie.
That would no.
And she looked hot.
She looked very. They used to hire hotties.
Thanks.
My other question is, it's actually a comment.
Oh.
For 4 years, we watched Farscape religiously. The production values were beyond belief. The acting, of course, was superb, and the writing, you could cry from. We, in our real life, use Farscape words. I call my kids tropes, and that's a piece of drang, and oh, for all you. What I would love, and I even have tattoos of the uncharted territory and tremendous space. My question is, it ended so terribly, and we waited so long for the movie. What happened to the production values and the writing and the makeup? We were just devastated, and Dargo should not have been killed.
You never actually saw him, so that's our argument.
They multiplied.
Yes, it was all a bit intense.
So was it a fast run? Is that what happened?
I thought we were ripped off with the Peacekeeper Wars. I thought originally, first of all, it never should have been, well, we're biased, but I thought it definitely had another couple of series in it. And then with Peacekeeper Wars, they kind of pitched it to us like it was a movie, like a full-length feature, and we thought, well, this is pretty amazing. And it was purely from the love of the fans that had brought it back. There was the whole sets were ripped apart.
Yep.
Animatronics were sent back, and it was only, seriously, and even people at conventions would ask us, do you think it's going to come back? And we'd be like, no guys, seriously, they're not going to.
Let it go.
And you guys persisted, and it came back, so hopefully we can milk a feature film out of them.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank
you for 4 wonderful years.
And be nice to your husband when you get home.
Round here.
Throw him a crumb.
What did you think about Peacekeeper?
I thought it was a bit generic. I feel bad for saying that. I didn't say that.
It's all right.
I would
Nobody's
deny
watching
that.
you anyway, David.
It's just between you and me. Thank goodness this one did not want you.
Okay, love the series. Very sad when it ended. Was there one practical joker on this set, and what did they do?
Anthony. You do, because because I didn't have anything to do with it.
I do it.
You do it. Go on. Go
Yeah,
on.
there was this one time, anytime Anthony was on set, he would just, I don't know whether it was his cope mechanism with putting up with all those full-on prosthetics and stuff. Like what those guys went through was amazing. I think that Virginia and I had an extensive makeup, and at times it was challenging in certain aspects, but when had to wear prosthetics, they're just awful. They sting and they stick to you and you can't hear anything, and they go up your nose and in your ears and feel like they're strangling you, but I love prosthetics. But so for Ed to wear that day in and day out and Naranti and all those amazing characters was just so phenomenal. So maybe it was a way of helping him deal with that really intense prosthetic. But he would often have group scenes where when he became captain, would be like the close-up would be on him and we'd all be standing where you guys are, and for his close-up he was amazing and would be the warrior and all that kind of business, and then it would turn around and be looking at us, and he would be beside the camera, and there's obscenities that would come out of his mouth, and we're all there trying to be, react to the proper speech. Yes, he was definitely the main joker on set. It was great doing sex scenes with him. Just great. Well, you think it's funny, do you, wise guy? Thank you. Wait a minute. Oh, hello. Is that a Wella do? Do they have
That's a 2.5, isn't it?
Do they have that over here, Wella? Or Pantene? Won't happen overnight, but it will happen.
Because you're worth it.
Was you worth it?
Because you're worth it.
Was that cover girl?
I don't know.
Sorry. Great hair.
Thank you.
That's what we're trying to say.
Part of what, for me, and I'm sure for many of the fans, is so endearing and kept us watching for so long is on varying degrees, all of the characters seem to be very much loose cannons. And I was wondering, on a very tight production schedule, which as much as you have to do, how much of the scenes were actually improv? How often did you as actors get to play and really just kind of go nuts and add some of that energy to your scenes?
I didn't really get to go nuts much. Because what always seemed to happen with us was, because the command carrier that was the only set that was always up, so they always were shooting that first. And within the boundaries of the script, only occasionally, we'd be free to play, but the scripts were so good. Often, I think you may agree with me, you may not. I feel like you get employed to make something that's pretty drossy, reasonable, but with this it was really pretty tight. So
I know Ben probably ad-libbed the most, and that was good because he was a human looking at the space creatures, so he was coming at it from a very human perspective. And then I think as we went along, we got more artistic license, and Neri originally was meant to be my sister, and because at the time I was having my little brother had just been sent off to boarding school, so there was a whole well of full-on sad emotion there, and I asked the producers and the writers if Neri could be a brother instead of a sister, because I felt like I could draw on it more, and they're like, yep. So if you had good ideas about your character...
That's true. If you had good ideas, they would run with them.
Because you were you were that character for so long, they trusted our opinions, which is very, very cool. And on set, just the way that we interpreted things, they would pretty much let you do anything, whether it be the fight sequences. I mean, obviously they were choreographed, but the movements between them, and if you're...
Absolutely, there's so many little things that would just define the character bit by bit. There'd be... I remember there was one episode with there were blue criminals, I can't remember, and there was a vault that was getting shut, and someone got stuck in the vault door, and so I said, "Oh, Braca would love to walk over him to get out." So and all stuff like that was informed by a character was all systems go.
I was watching an episode where he's like, Crichton's floating through space, and he's like, 10 bottles of whatever, and I'm pretty sure that he made that stuff up. I don't think they would have written that. And he's singing, 10 bottles of whatever.
And he would do, I remember in one scene, he's going to Braca.
Does my bum look big in this?
I don't think
that was scripted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I love his hair.
You are hot! Look at you! Oh. Yeah, beautiful, babe. You look beautiful.
Thank you.
Where are those boots from?
I made them.
Shut up. Oh, sorry. Don't, please, question.
I was just really curious. There was the entire series of Farscape, and then they went into Peacekeeper Wars, and then there's been the creation of the comics as well. There was a lot of rumors a few years ago about going into the Hynerian universe and expanding on Rigel and his kingdom, and how they were going to make it a webisode series, and they keep saying that it's going to happen, and it hasn't. Do you have any idea what happened to that?
Well, that would be, I know absolutely nothing. You know more than me. What do you know?
You didn't get the memo?
No.
Nothing? No. We've been shooting for like a month now. I actually dreamt that when a show was cancelled, and I had a dream that they just cancelled me, but they told the whole show that, we're not going ahead for another season. And then I was in the dream, rocking up at this location, and everyone was working. I'm like, hey guys, what are you doing? And they're like, just shooting a show. We were in Germany. I was in Germany just a couple of weekends ago, and Ben and Claude were there, and Ben got asked that question, and he said that he and Brian are still quite close, and that they were actually they're still talking about it. So who knows? When I was in LA after my wedding last year, Brian called me up and he goes, okay, we're going to bring back Farscape. I'm like, holy crap, are you serious? And he's like, yeah, we're going to do these mini-sodes. I was like, oh man, come on! We've gone from a series to a mini-series to mini-sodes. Come on.
To puppet show.
I definitely think that that's it! Take that, Chiana! So we'll see. Hopefully, I still think it has legs, but now I'm looking at your legs. I still think it has definitely the potential to be made into something more.
Potential.
We'll see if they ever follow through. Hopefully, it will involve us rat bags. It will just be the Rigel show.
Before we're too old.
We'll be rocking up with our walkers. Braca, give us a kiss. Split the decks.
Okay, basically, would you, if you had the chance to, want to be your characters?
Way, Jose.
Not a chance. No way. They're good in outer space, aren't they?
Okay,
They're good into tormented space.
But it would be it's fun though. I like them when because you have to like who you are. I mean, but objectively, no. Hey, let me think about that. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Sorry.
Is that Josh 2.0?
Puppetry!
So Farscape was kind of known for having a multitude of episodes where the characters would be acting a bit unusual for any number of reasons. But I was wondering if there were any lines of dialogue or scenes in particular off the top of your head where you felt the character was not acting as they should be and there was really no justification for it.
Oh, no, there was justification for it, but I haven't answered that question. When Braca I don't know why I got my hand up. This is my panel. I'm the boss. I remember, what was the question? Because I haven't answered it if it's relevant anymore.
Well, I just mean, I'm wondering if you were reading the script and you thought, that doesn't really sound like my character.
Oh, yeah. when Braca got possessed by the Skrith, because he was possessed by the Skrith, so it wasn't him. I thought I didn't know about the show, but I did. Because he had this thing that was like a, it was like a cane toad kind of thing. Anyways.
That when the budget were running out of money, you put this cane toad on your head.
And that enabled somebody, I think maybe Grazer or...
Oh, you knew about the show.
I do, kind of. And that enabled... He got possessed by a Skrith.
Look at me!
Oh, no, it was great. I remember Rebecca saying, what happens when you're possessed by the Skrith? How do you sound? What happens? And this is just before we were filming. I said, I don't know, I'll tell you in about 4 minutes. And so you just have to make a decision about what happens when you're possessed by a Skrith, because I've lived, quite a life, a lot of rich experiences, but I have never actually been possessed by a Skrith.
What?
No. Sure, that I had to imagine that.
Really?
Yes, that wasn't drawing on.
Such a talented actor.
Yeah. So that's an answer to your question.
Not just a pretty face.
I'm feeling very smug.
Thanks.
You're welcome, Josh.
All right, guys.
I think I made his world a little warmer, a little better.
We have about 10 more minutes with these beautiful people, so let's get up there and stand in line to ask some questions.
I've heard of many different actors having different ways to keep them in character when they're off screen. I was wondering if either one of you or anyone else in the cast had any odd things that they did to keep them in character, other than just, their makeup.
I would do like the opposite. I did like a nudie calendar when I was bored at work. Very Braca. Because it's literally, because it'd be so like...
What's the screen?
There was such a long time between setups. It's like, bored. So...
Let's straddle this cannon.
Yeah. And then how expensive it is to film. All the crew were going around and lighting my nudie calendar and getting props. So that's what I was
Which you can purchase from the store today.
So that's really the opposite to what did you do? Anything that you...
I think I'm odd in general, so
Yeah.
what are the normal things I did is the question. Not much, none. All odd. All odd. Music is a big thing for me for characters. It's really interesting. A lot of time, that phrase art imitates life or vice versa, and that happens a lot. Like sometimes, you get an audition, like a random audition, and I go, I feel like I just had a dream about that, or I feel like, wasn't I just talking about that the other day? Like it's weird, interesting.
They're parallel.
Yeah, a little bit. Totally, and if you're dealing with some intense stuff in your life, and then sure enough it seems to pop up, and and it's actually quite good therapy, I found, because you can it's a safe place to be whoever you want and release whatever you need to release, as long as that your objective in the scene is fulfilling that. So it's actually, by the end of the day you'd be exhausted, but it kind of felt good to get rid of a lot of junk as well. But music is great, and that will happen a lot, is that I'll hear a random song like that Rihanna song, Stay, and I'm like, oh my god, that is such a beautiful song. And then I got an audition the next day and it was so relevant to that song, so I just put my little headphones in before, and it was really interesting. Like they were running like 2 hours late for the audition, and actors were stomping around and getting angry, and I was just thinking, this is bloody perfect, because you can really be relaxed by the time your name's called. And I just stuck in my headphones and just zoned in, and I haven't got the call yet, but I'm sure I got it.
And that was 2 years ago, so still waiting.
Thank you.
Yeah, but music's a good in.
It's a familiar looking shirt.
Yes. This question is for Mr. Franklin.
What?
Quiet, please.
Braca.
Quiet, please. Thank you. Yes.
Braca evolved over the 4 years to such an extent, and Grace said to him that he was the consummate peacekeeper. What do you think that meant?
He was a smart politician. He played every side to... Anyone he was dealing with was the most important person at the time, and he managed to tiptoe through Peacekeeper minefield and he was making it to the other side, which no one else managed to do without losing limbs or getting vaporized or turned into goop. So it was actually quite extraordinary, that skill, because he was kind of flying under the radar.
Very good. Good answer, David.
Thank you, Linda. See, I did watch the show. I did learn. Oh, you have another important question. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, this question is due to my grandma. What do you think happened to Bracken when the show ended? What do you think would have? Do you think he would have ruled the world or what?
Yeah. King of the universe. He was going places. Something probably would have happened though. Something nasty. But he always survives, like cockroaches and Braca. You know, he'd be impervious to rage. And then we're going to do a backstory episode. They had up on the whiteboard for season 5. They were having a backstory episode. Oh, season 5. But we can imagine what happened. It must have been a very, very sad childhood. So I think he would have. I think he would have gone because he was captain, and I think he would have had a trajectory upwards. So thank you very much for your question. Minnesota. Thank you, Grandma. Chicken. What? Grandma was a chicken. Chicken got up too. We're going to have 2 people. What? It's not nasty. It's not nasty. Grandma will come and slap me later.
Yes, may we help you?
He's talking. I didn't want to interfere.
Oh,
Don't
don't me. Everyone else does. What? Yes, sir.
Did either one of you have a favorite episode that you like to film? And if Braca had to go one-on-one with Chiana and she had no backup, do you think you could take her?
Good luck, buddy. Good luck.
Oh.
You and the screech.
What if I put a screech on you?
All right. Is that a promise? Ooh la la.
See? I reckon he'd be a real goer.
What's your favourite?
It ended up being a trailer for it ended up being in the DVD. It ended up being in last week's episode, but it was because it was the B storyline. But I can't remember. I'm sure it was good.
I really like Joker Returns because I thought that was the only one. So that was probably my all-time favourite because I just was like, it was a beginning, middle, and an end. Taking the Stone, they're all Chiana episodes, of course.
I like the princess.
Look at the princess.
Look at the princess.
Princess Bride. That's
No,
not
that's
Farscape.
another. No, but there was a princess thing. There was a 2-part episode.
Yeah, look at the princess.
Look at the
I think
whatever that.
Maltese Crichton and A Kiss Is But a Kiss and all that bizzo.
It was a 2-part episode.
Yeah,
I like that
we were
one.
down on the planet and everyone was in red dresses. Well,
I don't remember that. Is that where you were green?
No, different one.
So knowledgeable.
I was going to tell you something now.
Come on, just between you and me.
Wow, last night when
Yeah.
I got to the hotel room,
Yeah.
nothing. Come on, babe. Come on, babe.
Sorry.
Also, John Quixote, because that was trippy Chaka, and
I know what episode I wanted to be in.
the cartoon one.
Apart from that one. The one, which was the one where everyone swapped over, like in Gilligan's Island. What was it called? That one? Out of Their Minds. Because I always remember Gilligan's Island. Remember where they all got in the brain machine and they all got switched over.
I think I was too young.
And then there was this person dressed as... Shut up. There was a person dressed as Scorpius. And they came up to me and they were like, it was freaky. This person came up to me and then they went like this with their tongue.
I know that tongue. That's odd.
She doesn't.
We went to Mexico together.
That time I went to Mexico together.
Oh yes, they were the days.
I would have liked to have been, yeah, that would have been fun.
Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico sounds hard.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, hey.
Hello.
Hello.
For both of you, and I apologize in advance if anything's been under my radar, but most of what you guys do is, I know Gigi, especially you do Australian television, which we don't get to see. Are you working on anything which may come to these shores, or that you know?
I've been doing lots of audiobooks. Don't you say that? I've been doing lots of audiobooks.
The porn you're talking about?
No, it's not porn, it's legit. I don't do it anymore. Jack Hammer was dead. He's dead.
He's dead to me.
Jack Hammer is no more. No. I've been doing lots of audiobooks, which has been terrific. I've really...
Sound like this.
They're real.
You can't take me anywhere.
You get them on Amazon.com. Which I've enjoyed doing very, very much. Because you get to be the boss. You get to tell the whole story, beginning to end. You're responsible for telling the story. It's
what are the books
fun.
about?
Well, I did Albert of Adelaide. And they had that. They had the book on display in West Hollywood Library. And I was walking in the library and went, oh, I did the audio book for that. Nobody cared.
Brad Pitt turns around and goes, really? That's great.
Nobody. But yeah, I've been in eight audiobooks this year, which I've really enjoyed. And what else? Commercials. I think of commercials as short films, stories that need to be told.
David did this cool commercial, and I was back in Australia, and it's like, can you do a bit of that one about the ancestry?
My folks owned a pub.
Yeah. He goes, hello, my name's Bob. I'm like, geez, that looks like David. Oh, if you want to check out your family tree, do what I did. I didn't realise that my great-great-great-granddad. Why am I saying it? You did it.
You did better than me.
And then he goes, my great-great-grandmother was something owns a pub. And I immediately email him, I go, I knew I loved you for some reason. Bob.
You wouldn't give me the time of day otherwise. And now I'm the, you know the progressive, the two losers in the progressive insurance ads, the other company? Like, oh, can't blow our pants on fire. I'm one of them, one of the losers for Australia. One of the loser insurance, I should be the winning insurance company. And you've been a busy beaver. So, wrong choice. Bad choice.
Next question.
I went to, oh no, hang on.
I worked on a show called Rescue Special Ops, and that was
Was that fun?
That was heaps
Did
of
you do
fun.
lots of stunts?
Awesome stunts, like hung off the side of Sydney Tower and got washed down storm drains and got blown up. It was pretty much.
And that was just on her way to work.
Totally amazing. And then I worked on a show called Tricky Business, which was like a family drama, and that was a bit of fun. And at the moment, and in between all that, because we do a lot of these conventions and I adore you guys so much, and I wanted to give something back to you guys because you've supported me for so long, so I've recorded some tunes and I've worked on directing a little short film, which is, funnily enough, is about an actress that works on sci-fi. And some crazy
That must have been a stretch story.
Yeah, it was very stretchy. And then, so I was recording some music and everything, and my brother and I have created a little production company. And we're working on a comedy show and music videos, and here's my little plug. If you want to check out where I'm at, you can log into gigiedgley.com. And on that, I've got a Twitter page and a Facebook and everything, and I update it all the time. Like I updated it, I don't know if any of you guys saw it, like 3 a.m. this morning. Because these guys, I don't even know because I haven't met the organiser yet, but did you get a cupcake?
Yeah, it was yummy.
Oh my God!
It was yummy,
So I'm so
delicious.
jet lagged and so hungry, and I'm like, do I eat? Do I drink? Do I shower? What do I do? And there's this cupcake that looked like, oh. So I take a photo, and I'm like, I better not eat it because I'm, trying to lose a couple of pounds.
What?
And then like 2 seconds later,
Oh, you don't use
2
it
seconds
anyway.
later, I look at it, and someone had eaten it. I'm You must have seen it. It's actually like a before and after shot, and I put it on Facebook. And like, party for one, my hotel warming party. But tomorrow I'm doing a talk about Lantern City, and it's a show based on the steampunk culture, and it's Bruce Boxleitner, Mira Furlan, Raphael Sparge, I don't know if I'm pronouncing these guys' names correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, and Gigi Edgley.
Oh, she's great, that Gigi Edgley.
Tony!
I'll watch anything she
Cupcake smeared on her face. And we're doing a thing, I think it's 12 o'clock tomorrow, and one of the writers, Matthew, will be there. And we're creating a show called Lantern City. It's also got, if you go lanterncity.com, fans can become involved with it, and you can put your ideas towards the scripts or costumes and props as well. So there's a little project on the side that we're trying to get up, and I think that they were pitching it to HBO. So please, universe, please, please, please. So we'll see how we go, but yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, I'm sure that we could all go on and on and on, but actually that's all the time we have for
Jenny!
Jenny, I used to like you. You're drunk.
Thank you, guys.
But you know what? You should join these guys downstairs. They're going to be doing autographs and photo ops, and then check out Gigi's panel tomorrow. Let's give them a big round of applause.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. And it's a fantastic convention. Let's keep it nice.